Yeah.
Dude, let's go. All right. We're getting official over here. Okay. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because first off, I started my business um, all direct agent. So we were reaching out to real estate agents specifically about creative deals, wholesaling a lot of subject to deals, and that's mainly what we were focusing on. And I think that if I were to go back and do it all again, I would probably still do it because I learned a lot from it. But if I was starting today, I would probably have a business where, and this is kind of what we're doing now, where the majority of our effort is direct to seller, like direct to motivation, but we're still building an agent leg of the business. And the reason why is because a lot of times when you're reaching out to agents directly about their listing specifically, you can definitely get deals from that. Like we do that. But especially when it comes to subject to me, it's a lot tougher than if you just build real relationships with agents that have nothing to do with a specific listing. Okay. So instead of like a lot of times, like people will lead with like, I do subject to, for example. It's like the agent has no idea probably what that means. And if they do know what it means, they probably have a negative view of it. Right. So that's kind of like the first thing. Um, and the reality is like if you want like some consistent deal flow from agents, you have to start with the relationship. Okay. Now, next thing. Obviously, there are situations that do work for creative finance, so it's our job to be able to teach real estate agents that maybe don't know where that fits in to their lives, right? So this could be sellers with no equity who just bought in the last couple of years and can't sell traditionally because they're going to have to cut a check at the closing table. There's also could be stubborn sellers who won't budge on their price, but maybe they own it free and clear. Literally had a conversation today with a real estate agent that we made a cash offer on, didn't make sense for her client, and I just said, "Hey, what was she hoping to use the money for?" And she was like, "Well, like she's gonna buy a car." And I'm like, "So is that kind of it?" And she's like, "Yeah," and she just wants a good return on it. And I was like, "Well, why don't we just give her the return? Let's give her enough money for a car, and then we'll make her payments over time to give her the return she needs." And she was like, "Yeah, that would probably work." There you go. Right? And that's like very like simple conversation. We'll see if it pans out, but I mean that's the conversation flow, right? And the reality is most agents have no one to send these people or these deals to. Like think about it. If you have an agent right now that you know that they don't know anything about creative finance and they get a deal that the seller bought 2 years ago that doesn't have any equity and the seller's going to have to bring 20,000 to closing. And then, the agent's like, "Hey, you're going to have to bring 20,000 to closing if we sell this. Are you cool with that?" And the seller's going to say, "Hey, I don't have the money to do that. I'm sorry." And the agent's going to say, "Oh, sorry, I can't help you." So if you can train these agents on how to do this, there's a lot of opportunity. Okay. And the same thing with the ones that are stubborn like that. You'd be surprised the amount of deals that you can get that are 0% interest seller finance. If you can just train these agents, and I have agents in my corner right now that I've just told them, "Hey, if you get someone that has a high price, they won't come down, and realistically it's not going to sell on the market at that price. Give me a bat at it. Just give me a shot." Right? It's just free leads. Okay. So, first step in this, in my opinion, and I don't have all the answers, but I'm just telling you what I've done and what's worked for me. And I have probably I would say 3 to 4 properties a week that are sent to me that are like real opportunities from agents that I've built relationships over the years that I don't have to call or follow up with or anything like that. And we just stay in contact weekly. And a lot of times they're sending me stuff and it doesn't make sense, and I'll tell them why. But then you get the one or two that are 2 and 3% interest rates, and it's awesome, right? And then people are like, "How do you get that?" It's like, well, you spend the time, right? You spend the time building relationships. So, first thing I would always talk to when I'm calling an agent, I always want to ask them, I say, "Hey, I saw your listing over here. That's actually not why I'm calling. Like, I wanted to build a relationship with you because I invest here locally in Nashville and blah, 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 whatever your pitch is, right?" But ask them, "Hey, so what areas do you cover, by the way?" And just get them into talking about like what areas they cover. Why do we want to ask what areas they cover? Anyone know? What are some reasons we would ask that?
To tell them that's where we're investing in.
That works. If you invest there, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. To the second point is that then you can offer, if you're doing some direct to seller marketing, there are sellers that I send to agents that I think are a good fit. And I've done that. I mean, over the last few months, we've sent like two or three referrals to agents that I know. And so you can offer that and say, hey, a lot of times there's sellers that like just don't work for us. And we think that they're probably better off going with a real estate agent so they can get like the money that they deserve to make for their house. Like, what does that say? Number one, it says that you're here for a relationship and you want like a win-win. But two, it also says what? That maybe you're not like a sleazy investor that's trying to take advantage of every seller, right? It kind of implies that. It's like some sellers we think are not best for us, and that's okay too, right? So I think that's a good start to a relationship. So show some genuine interest in the business. Like, what are you seeing in the market? Like, how are things going? Like, what's working for you? What's not? Like, how can I help you in your business? Right? So don't start off by just pitching. This is literally going to put you ahead of 99% of the investors that they've met. Has anyone ever had this conversation where they go into an agent with a huge agenda and you try to pitch something? Because I have, and it doesn't work very well. It really doesn't.
Hasn't worked for me either.
Me either, bro. That's why I'm talking about this, okay? This is a different way. Okay, now here's a big lesson I'm learning in my business recently. You always want to lead with the problem, not your strategy. Okay. So instead of saying, I do subject to, I do creative finance, I do seller finance, if they ask what you do, you can say, hey, I mean, have you ever had a seller that like maybe they need to sell, but like they don't have enough equity to close without writing a check? Okay, I help those people, for example. Right? Or have you ever had a seller that was like maybe stubborn on their price or but maybe they owned it free and clear, right? They didn't have a mortgage, but like a lot of times I can give them that price if they're willing to give me some terms. So those are kind of like the sellers that I can help. And maybe you talk about if you make cash offers, that's fine too. But at the end of the day, it's like you're leading with the problem that helps them to be able to, what does this help the agent do? Explaining it this way.
Gets a
Like
better
get some
idea of
context.
what, yeah, some context of what you're doing, you know,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
what examples, kind of telling the story, if you will. They can kind of paint that picture a little bit better.
Right. Like if you do seller finance, what does that mean to the agent?
Yeah, nothing.
I have no idea.
But when you do it this way, you establish, a pain point for them. They've got
Hmm.
these deals that they can't close, and you position yourself as a person who knows how to close those deals so that now everybody gets paid.
Yeah, yeah. And you can even be funny about it. Like one of the things I used to do when I was like, there was a period of time where I was trying to go after just straight seller financing. And I was like, the people that are stubborn, that don't want to lower their price, like I can help those people. And at the end of the call, I'd be like, hey, so you know what? Like I do these other things, but if I could just ask you, remember me as the guy that is kind of stupid that pays a little too much for property. Like, and I'm just kind of being funny. And I'm like, save me as the contact. Evan Ragsdale pays too much or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, just get them to remember you in some way, right? Like, this is what I do. I help stubborn sellers that get high price. Okay, so there's that. So another thing that I found to be really helpful. What is this? Okay, one thing I found to be helpful is you can also ask them like, what is the volume of deals that they do, and ultimately like if you're working with an agent like someone that gets a lot of volume, like a Mark Spain real estate agent. Like a lot of my deals come from Mark Spain. And I'm like really in with one of their offices in Franklin where I have like 20 or 30 of their agents throughout the year that will text me about sub two deals. Because we do like some training with them and all that. But it started with one agent that you do a deal with, and they tell the other agent, and then they tell their manager, and then they tell all the other agents. And there's so much turnover that there's always new agents getting emails from random people about creative deals. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go to their manager, right? You think about that process. They see an email. What is subject to? I'm a brand new agent. I don't know what this is. They go to their manager. Their manager says, hey, call Evan. You want to be that guy for whatever brokerage it is. There's tons of opportunity out there to be that person. That's just one brokerage, right? And so I would ask, how many deals have you come across this year you think that have like been low equity, for example, like where like they were having to cut a check at the closing table? Oh, I probably had two or three this year. Then you can ask them what's okay and like what was the average price point on that? Like, oh, 300 grand. So like, what would your commission been on that? Like, oh, 5 grand, or I don't know. I'm not great with commissions, but 5 grand. It's like, okay, so that's like what, 15 grand this year? Okay. So save me in your contact as the guy that's going to make you an extra 15 grand this year. You see what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the conversation that I would have. Okay. Next thing is making sure that with the agents that you've had this conversation with, that you've actually started to build a relationship with, you want to make sure that you put them on some kind of list. And this is what I do. So I have it in my calendar and I could show you on my phone. Every 2 weeks, I have it in my calendar as a reminder to text agents. Okay. I think you need to be very intentional about who you're texting and like the relationships that you're trying to build. But I would say I have probably about 20 to 30 agents at this point that I think are really high quality that do a lot of volume that I will check in with. So first is usually a text. The second time is usually going to be some kind of voice memo because you need in the world of AI, it's like let's be human about it. Hey man, I was just thinking about you and your business. I'm driving in the car. It doesn't take long to send a 20-second voice memo. But it means the world to people that you took time to shoot them a voice memo versus just some random standard text. I promise you it makes a difference. Like when you get a voice memo on your phone, does it mean something to you or is it just like every other text? Like to me it matters. I'm like, that's cool, right? You can also send them a resource the next week on something that you found to be helpful about creative finance. Hey, I was talking to some other agents about creative finance. I know we had talked a little bit about it. Let me know if this helps. There you go. Send another text. Week 5, give them a call. Week 6, you could even send some kind of funny like GIF or GIF or however you want to say it. And I think that really works. Like just sending something funny. Like that's how people build connection and relationships. It's like you don't have to be so serious all the time. Because like when someone I was talking about this, I think it was actually today with Jeff Davidson at My Tennessee Home Solution, and we were talking about subject to deals and real estate agents and how what we were going to be talking about tonight. And like there is something so impactful about when a real estate agent who's scared crapless about creative finance and losing their license and all that kind of stuff meets a normal person that actually does these deals. Because they're going to get emails, they're going to get text. But think about this. How many agents that get those emails and get those texts have ever sat down with someone for coffee that actually does these deals? I would say less than 1%. Because most investors aren't willing to take the time to do that. That's the first thing. Maybe they don't know how to defend it, or they don't know like even really what they're talking about, right? And so if you can sit across the table from someone human to human, dude, you don't have to know all the answers. All they know is, hey, Cody, I had coffee with Cody today. He seemed like a cool guy, and he does subject to. He seems trustworthy. He sent me a funny GIF. He sent me a voice memo. He seems human. Maybe I'll reach out to him. Does everyone see how this like could start to play out for you? Like it's not like a crazy system, but it really does work. I promise you, I've seen it in my life. Okay. And this is what I would say. One coffee meeting to me is a heck of a lot better than 6 weeks of text. So I would always be pushing for that. Like if you have someone that does some level of volume and they're open to having a conversation and you can make some time, even one meeting a week or one meeting every other week, start putting that on your calendar to try to fill that with a new agent. And just say, hey, I'm in Nashville. Let's grab some coffee. Coffee on me, man. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about how I can maybe help fill in some of the gaps. Let's see how I can make you an extra 15, 20 grand in commissions on the deals that you were going to just throw away. Okay. What I would also do is I would share, like if you've done deals, share your last two or three. Just share the address. Yeah, we actually just got done doing this one. Or hey, this one. And mention who the listing agent was. Yeah, we worked with Isabel Perella. She's great, by the way. Y'all should connect. Like you're starting to kind of build like connections that way, right? And if you're brand new, one thing, and this is what I used to do when I first got started and I had no idea what I was doing. I leveraged the people that had done deals, right? So if you haven't done a subject to deal, like leverage me or Griffin or Dennis or anyone that's done a deal, a creative deal, be like, hey, look, um, I partner with some people that do creative deals, and this phrase is important. Generally, when agents bring us deals, they X. Okay, so I'm not saying I work with a ton of agents and we do this and blah blah blah. It's like generally, yeah, when agents bring us deals, they have some questions about this and that and that. What does this imply? Can anyone tell me what this statement implies? Why this is important to bring up?
Maybe like it's almost like it's common.
Exactly. Yeah, it's common, especially if you say it with that tonality. That's really good. So it makes them hopefully a little bit more comfortable. It's like, okay, this guy does this. But also, what did I say? Did I say generally when we reach out to agents? Or did I say generally when agents bring us deals? What does that imply?
That people come to you, they actively seek you out
And why would they seek us out?
because you can close.
Yeah, maybe because we're good and we're trustworthy.
Honest, yeah. Trustworthy.
Yep, exactly. Okay. You want to be honest, right? That's why I'm saying leverage other people.
Hmm.
And one of the last things I'll say on this is like with real estate agents, one real estate agent becomes 10 really, really fast because you're not just talking to this agent. And I was telling Cindy this or Amir this today on our team. I'm like, we have to think longer term than what we're thinking. And this isn't a diss to him. This is like us just collaborating. It's like, because if we're renegotiating over $900 or something like that, right, with a real estate agent, because we think this person's not likely to do any more deals with us. Maybe they don't do volume or they don't do fix and flip. They just have really nice homes that don't need investors. Okay, cool. We could think that way, but also, how many real estate agents do you think she knows? That's the next question. Because we can think short-sighted and be like, we'll think of this one agent. How many agents does she know? You have no idea. I promise you, the one agent, I'm not going to say his name, even though he's one of my favorite people. The one agent that has connected me with probably 75 other agents to talk about subject to has been a guy that I would have never expected would have been the guy that connected me with those people. He had just gotten started within Mark Spain. He was like probably bottom of the list. He's worked his way up to the top of the top. And him and I spent 8 hours here one day in my house because he wanted to learn about subject two. I said, come over. So we got coffee, bought him coffee. He's like, I showed him my house. He wanted to meet. Told him the story about how we got this house. And we sat there and we literally made calls to agents for 8 hours straight. Think about like what that does for a relationship, you know? So I don't have to speak for myself anymore. It's like we do deals together. And him and I have probably done 30 or 40 subject to deals together. One agent. Crazy. Okay. So you got to also remember too that they're going to have questions, right? Has anyone ever had an agent where you pitched subject to and they didn't have questions? Because I'd like to meet those agents. That'd be awesome. Right. So one of the questions that people get a lot of times is like, how long is the loan going to remain in place? We generally, when we're talking to sellers, like this is something that we'll bring up. And you can keep it really short. You can say, it really like depends on the deal. For us, like we try to structure it to fit the seller situation and timeline. A lot of times, it's anywhere from I'd say like a 3 to 6 year period. Like that's true for us. So you got to say what's true for you. But hey, I can't make any promises. Like it could be shorter, it could be longer. Okay. That's usually what we see. Next question you're gonna get is like, what happens if you don't make payments? Right? Which we can go over that in a little bit if we want to cover that. And then like another one people might ask is like, what are you doing with the property? Or are you buying it? Or are you just gonna wholesale it? My piece of advice here is be fully honest. Like if you plan on wholesaling a subject to deal, be honest about it. And if you want, like when we do some Q&A here in a second, if you have questions on like how to do that in a way that doesn't sound scary or doesn't lose you the deal, we can talk about that. But I can tell you right now, being honest about these, wholesaling these subject to deals when I did, have saved my butt. Because out of over 100 deals that we've done, there's been two that have defaulted now. And thank goodness I didn't act like I was the buyer on those two. Because now I'm not tied up in a lawsuit. I can be the person that can come and try to help with what's going on, right? So keep that in mind. Think long term, okay? Another thing, pick a number, okay? Work a list and start building because when you set a realistic number of like agents to reach each week, don't say I'm gonna call 100 agents. It's like that's too many if you've never done it, right? Like how many can you do this week? Like today's Wednesday. How many agents would you be willing to call between now and Saturday? And that's a question only you can answer, right? And I think that the biggest mistake you can make is looking at the number and this is coming from experience, okay? The biggest mistake you can make is looking at the number and thinking it's too small, and so you just don't do it. Has anyone ever done that before with something else? Because I've done that. I've done that with working out. I've done that with losing weight. I've done that with cold calling, right?
Yeah, after
Even exactly. It's just human nature. Even with this, imagine I was like, I'm never going to do a community because I got 10 people on a Zoom call. I should have 50. It's like, what kind of bull crap is that? How are you ever going to get to 50? Right?
self-sabotage.
Exactly, dude. And like Cody, for you, like if you look at yourself and it's like, how many am I willing to make? And let's say the answer was five. Like five is scary. That's okay. Because if once you do five, you may be like, hey, dude, actually, that actually wasn't that bad. I actually might be able to do more than that. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you can just get the wheels turning, that's all you need, bro. I'm telling you right now. It's all you need. Okay. I'd also show up to a local networking event. That's really good. If people can see you in person, then there's not so much pressure like on a phone call of like some kind of hidden agenda. It's like you're just there to meet up just like they are. And then you can start talking about kind of what you do. Okay. I'd also post on social media. How many of y'all actually post on social media that this is what you do or that this is what you want to do?
Mm.
Not as often as I ought to.
Maybe. Could be trouble. Something to think about, right? Because if they don't, I mean, and you want to keep it super specific. So it's like whatever your goal is. If you want subject to deals, like, and we can have another training where we talk about that and like what posting is looks like for me, because that's worked wonders. Just putting yourself out there constantly, even just like even just lessons you're learning or things you're learning. You don't have to fake it and act like you're doing a ton of deals. Be what's authentic, right? Agents appreciate that, okay? And then make sure you're following up. So that's basically all I wanted to cover today. I know that was a little bit longer than normal. It was about 25 minutes or so. But hopefully that was helpful. Because that's my true experience. It's worked. It's helped us do over 100 creative deals. Most of those have been with agents, and now we're doing more direct to seller stuff. So I'll shut up now. What questions do y'all have, or what thoughts do you have on that?
Will we be able to access this PowerPoint?
Uh, yeah, I can put it in the group. Yeah.
I've been taking screenshots.
Oh, cool, man. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, dude. Yeah, I'll
So,
send it to y'all.
what about the connections and relationships you have now? Would it be could they could I get hooked up with some uh agents like in the Memphis or Jackson area through them, or would that be too much? Would that take all the fun out of it?
Wait, maybe I don't understand the question. Help me
Okay.
one more time.
So I'm basically asking if you had a couple of agents
Hmm.
that you was talking about that connect you with a bunch of other ones. If you reached out to them, asked them if they knew agents in my area
Mm.
that would um, kind of set it up for me, so when I call them, they know who I am and what I'm calling about.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can definitely reach out to a few of them. Most of them are like only here in Nashville, and they may know. I have one that might know some people in that area, so I can reach out to him.
And I've got some too, right here in my area,
Okay.
but um, that I'm friends with, I'll hook up with, and I might get them talked into talking to you about some subject too, because if I go to try to explain it to them, they're gonna leave more confused than when I started.
That's okay. That's how it goes. That's how it goes when you're first starting to pitch it. So fun.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So what would kind of be your like if you were to set a goal that you actually could do or commit to, like let's say starting tomorrow or Friday, like how many agents do you think you'd be willing to reach out to? No pressure, could be small.
I could easily do 10 a day,
Okay,
but
cool.
I'm
Yeah, that's a good
comparing,
goal.
like, kind of like you were saying a while ago, I'm comparing to, um, like these other folks in the community. It's like I'm making 120 calls a day, and I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. So
Yeah. How many deals are they doing? That's the question, right?
I don't know. Probably not many. They're making a lot of calls though.
And it's good. It's good practice. You're getting out
Yeah.
there. I mean, if you're making a lot of calls, that's awesome. I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but I think, you know, you don't know what you don't know, and the more you do it, the more like focused you'll get on like
Mm-hmm.
what you want to hit. Like our team went from, I mean, Griffin could tell you, like we went from trying to call every single person that's in foreclosure to now maybe trying to hit as a team, I don't know, 80, 90 at a time, 100 at a time, and going like really deep on like those people specifically.
Yeah.
So, maybe you find the areas you want to be in and just target those agents that are doing kind of high volume.
Yeah. That's what I need to do. That's good
Yeah,
advice.
absolutely, man. Yeah. Start with the relationship, offer to sell
Yeah.
them business. Yeah. That's great, dude. Love it. Let me know how that goes this week or if you need
Okay.
help.
All right.
What else we got?
I got a
You might
question.
go ahead, bud.
Okay, thanks. Um, how would that conversation look like where you're, kind of bringing up the subject of wholesaling a property
Hmm.
with an agent and, just kind of being transparent about that? Because, yeah, especially in the early days for me, like I was really afraid of just being honest about that.
Yeah.
And, with the discussions that I've had with you and, you mentioned having something go in default and, you don't want that to come back to bite you. So how can we talk
Hmm.
about, wholesaling these and just kind of have that go smoothly?
Yeah. One thing I think this is actually really good for anyone else in here that struggles with this concept because this is something I really wrestled with for a long time. So I'm glad you asked this. What is it that what do you think it is about going through that of telling them that you're wholesaling it basically that maybe makes you a little like uneasy?
I would say, maybe they don't want to work with me because I'm not the end buyer.
Hmm.
Maybe they feel like I'm, just another wholesaler, like it's a pejorative or something.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, I would say those are probably the biggest things,
I
just the,
totally agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like there's definitely going to be a small percentage of people that like they're like super worried about making sure that their time's not wasted, that they're not getting jerked around. Like I get that. But I think most of the time what we're scared of, I'll speak for myself, is we don't want to feel or sound inadequate or dumb or like we're not good enough to be the buyer, like that kind of thing. And I think sometimes we put ourselves in that box versus being like, I'm the guy that's really good at connecting buyer to seller. Like that's what I do. You know what I mean? And like that's a whole different conversation and tone. And so what I would tell you is that I can tell you what to say, which we can go over right now, but it's going to be much more important how you say it. Like the confidence that you say it with is going to determine everything. Okay? So, for example, so generally, Alex, to kind of answer your question about like us buying what we do. So there are some times that we buy property, and this isn't a script, by the way. This is me just off the cuff, just coming up with something. We do buy property, but there's a lot of times that these deals just don't work for us in our portfolio. And so what we'll do in that case is we'll let you know, and our job would be to bring in a buyer that can come in, take over the payments, and get everything taken care of for your client. Okay, that's it. Like, notice how I'm saying that I'm confident, like it's like nonchalant, like this is what we do, it's all good, right? Versus like, okay, so now you may not like this, and your client may not like this. But sometimes I'm not, sometimes I can't buy it. Okay. And you see what I'm saying? Like you can't, it doesn't matter. Like what you say, it's like, it really is how you say it. Does that help at all?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah. Great question. What else we got?
I had a quick question. You might have went over it. I think you did actually. But when we're talking these agents, right? Obviously, they want to make some money, do business as well. How do you structure that, or like how you go about letting them know, like, hey, they're going to get paid as well, right? Like letting them like yes, I'll be buying the house, and you'll be coming to me, you'll work for me, but we'll still keep you in the deal. Like, what does that look like, or that conversation? If that even something that comes up, which I would imagine would
It
somehow.
does. It does
Yeah.
some. Um, I think that's why, like, during the conversation when you're talking to the agent, that's actually a really good point you bring up. During the conversation, you have to be bringing that up. So it's like, okay, so like, if we were able to come in, for example, and take care of your clients, get them the cash they need, and also like pay your commission, right, and close
Hmm.
this in 2 weeks, then
Hmm.
that would be good for you. Yes. Okay. And so you're kind of like constantly reminding them of like and pay your commission.
Yep.
So like you could do that. And then if they ever ask that, I would just say, yeah, like your commission gets paid just like every other deal. And you could just like keep it short and sweet. Like
Yeah.
we'll have you on the agreement as, and like, yeah, I just leave it at
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Because again, talking all this, helping a seller, that's great, but they're in the business and in business to make money as well.
Right. Yes.
So,
That's
and
a good reminder.
they're going to be motivated just like anybody else would if you know that okay, I can get paid.
Yep.
My time won't be wasted, right?
Yep. 100%. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
All of us in here need to be reminding them, hey, we're getting your commission paid.
Yeah.
Good point. Very good.
And piggybacking on Dennis's question, how do we account for their commission when we're doing sub two? Like maybe as a for example, let's say we're buying a house for 250,000 and
Hmm.
there's a $200,000 existing loan, so that's 50,000 to
Hmm.
the seller, and then let's say it's 3% commission, which would be 7,500. Where how would we account for that?
So I always base the Um, what I would do is I would tell them, hey, so what was your commission on this? Is 3% or whatever. If you feel like that's fair, cool. If not, then like you can ask them like if that's negotiable to make the deal work, which we've had to do at times. I don't like doing that because I'd rather them keep doing deals with me. But there are times you have to do that, and that's okay. Um, but what I would do is I would base it off the percentage, and then on your purchase agreement, which I can show you how to do this, you want to make the purchase price the mortgage balance plus the cash to seller. So if you're giving the seller 10 grand and the mortgage is 200, your purchase price is 210. So your commission would be 3% of 210, not 250,
Well, I think our numbers are a little bit different,
maybe.
but yeah. Anyways, so
You
let's
want to
just
give
say
me the
it's
actual
two.
numbers?
Uh, I said 50,000 to the seller and then $200,000
Oh, you
loan.
said 50 to the seller. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then your
Uh,
purchase price would be 250.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then of that 50,000 to the seller, then whatever that 3% is,
Hmm.
they would have to pay that to the agent.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It depends how you structure it, man. I mean, you could say that. I mean, like, I think if it's low enough, like where you're giving the seller like 5, 10 grand and you want to pay the commission because it like you want the seller to get some cash, then like you could be like, we'll cover your commission. But on something like that, I would be like, hey, seller's covering your commission.
Okay, got it. So it's kind of a case by case basis.
Yeah, yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it.
What do
Thank
you
you.
what do you normally see, Evan? Do you? And I think I missed what you said. Do you normally try to pay them the 3% that they
Mhm.
originally because you want to keep that relationship? Is that what you said
Yeah,
earlier? Okay.
if I can, I will. And sometimes I'll stretch to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Obviously, the numbers got to work.
for
But
sure. And that's probably my cardinal like it's my cardinal sin and like the thing that helps me both. Sometimes it hurts me, sometimes it helps. Um, Sometimes I stretch a little too much to try to
no, it's
get
just
people
delay.
paid.
It's just delayed gratification. It'll come back to you way down the road,
I've seen that.
tenfold. Yeah, you probably are. So yeah,
Yeah. It
I'll
it
probably do the same. I was just
Yeah.
curious because, like you said, every deal is different, so it's not really like go-to answer
Mhm.
because every
Yeah.
deal can be differently. So,
Totally. Totally.
which I think is
Yeah.
the tricky part of like, all right, how do we include this agent in there? You
hmm
know, so
Yeah. And there's even that's a really good point, man. And there's been times too where I've even asked the agent, like, hey, look, like I don't think there's room for really hardly any commission. Maybe like $1,000. And I'm like, I don't want to offend you with that, so I just think I'm probably not the right fit. And just kind of pull away. And
mm,
they may be like, hey, like we've been trying to get this sold. Like I'd really like to help them out. I'm happy to even just release the listing and you just pay me like some kind of referral or whatever, some kind of fee. And like we've
yeah,
done that and that works sometimes too.
cool.
Yeah. Great stuff. Really, really good questions. What else do we have? Anything else? Doesn't have to be about this. It could be a deal you're working on or questions you have about anything. I got about 20 minutes, so hit me with it.
I want to have something. I want to know an example. If you got like a real example of like a
Mhm.
property you got from a agent, and what did that look like? As far as
Yeah.
like, okay, agent reached out, we did this, whatever you guys did, whether that was subject to or seller or hybrid, right? Like, if you
Mhm.
have an example, you can kind of walk us through.
Sure. Yeah.
Stories, really stick well.
Yeah. No, that's a good thought. Let's see. Get out of this PowerPoint first off. What in the world? All right. So I'll give you an example. So this was one of my first ones actually, a while back. So 939 Merritt Lewis Lane. The agent on it was her name was Kayla Wiles, and she does like a ton of business um, there in Clarksville, and we've become really good friends. And so she'll send stuff every once in a while. But I mean, you can look at like the price history on this. So it's going to be a little confusing because I actually sold this on a wrap. So I sold this owner finance to someone else at like 307. But
Nice.
basically, Um, we got it basically for this for like 277. And you can see in 2022, like they basically bought it for 270. So like they
Hmm.
didn't really have much room there. They had a interest rate of like it was like 4.2, so it wasn't like the best deal, but it was better than what rates were at the time. And I was new, so I was like, I'm just trying to do deals. I wasn't super like locked in on getting the best deals. Yeah, and then turned around and I guess 4 months later, sold it on a wrap, and
So
so
you,
they
so you
they
took
paid me.
over it completely. You just did subject to. You didn't do any type of seller portion of a seller finance, anything like that. Just straight up.
Yeah, yeah, just straight subject to. I think on that one. I think I just paid the agent commission. I don't think the seller got any cash.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
because the agent just came to me and was like, yeah, I don't think a lot of times there's agents that'll come to you like they don't really need anything. Um, you'd be shocked because they're already kind of expecting to cut a check. And this is something too that I've started implementing on the agent side is for some of these deals that are like really tight, instead of just saying like I can't help, I'm sorry. I hate doing this because like this is like goes against everything that I like that I am. But if we're truly trying to help sellers, sometimes the best thing you can ask them is like how much cash do you have to bring to the closing table if we can get it done. Because I've had deals where like sellers have had to bring like 5 to 10 grand to closing. But they were gonna bring 30 or 40, for example, or whatever it is. And so it's like you're saving them money, yes, like you still make a little room for you to make an assignment fee, right, and get the agent paid. So sometimes that's on some of these deals that especially they're not like good interest rates. Sometimes that's a fair question to ask. So yeah, this
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
Um, and so mentioned that well, looking at the records here, you wrapped it 4 months later, right? So did
yeah,
you have to do any rehab, any updates? Like, what did you do during that period
yeah.
after taking
So
over?
that's a good question. So we actually didn't do any repairs or anything, which is pretty normal. Like we hardly ever do any repairs on the house. Like even if it needs like a lot. We just kind of won't touch it, and we'll just give someone a good discount for it. But I mean, it was already a pretty clean house. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. It's not
And
brand
honestly, assuming
new.
it's working with an agent, it's probably going to be in somewhat decent condition unless you're
Yeah,
just working with an
yeah,
investor related agent. And yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. You'd hope so. This bathroom was really weird. I remember walking up here. Actually, we closed on it, and then I went and like saw it, and then I saw this bathroom, and I was like, bro, this is so weird. I'm like, this is gonna make this house so hard to sell. But thank God we got it sold. Um, so yeah, I mean that's like an example of a deal if that helps at all.
No, this is perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know for everybody else, but like, this is walking me through, okay, this is what happens when you reach out to an agent. This is the house we got. Like, I like hearing those intricate steps because we
yeah,
hear a lot of things of people talking about stories and we kind of get the general concept of it, if you will, overview of it, right? But like,
yeah.
details matter or some things. I think that was super helpful. At least for me, it
Dude.
is.
Yeah, dude, you're totally. I love it. And there's actually one more I can show you real quick. This would be what property? Why am I forgetting like okay.
Putting you on the spot here, Evan.
Dude, I know, bro. Um, let's do 704. What is that? This is another one in Clarksville. This is an example of one that I was when I was talking like agents like kind of spread out and they like tell other agents about you. That's what this
Uh,
one was. So this was a brand new agent that called and was like, "Hey, this guy gave me your number and said that you do creative deals and here's what's going on." So we talked for a little bit and he was super nice guy, but very like logical, analytical, like wanted me to write like a dissertation on like what subject two was basically for him. And finally I was like, dude, let's just meet up for coffee, bro. Like we don't have to do this deal. Like we can do another one. So we went and got coffee, and that's kind of where things changed. Again, like a personal experience. That's where things changed. When you get the pour overs in front of you, man, get an iced latte, things start shifting, man. I don't know what it is. So that's funny. So yeah, we started talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. They might be interested. They need at least $40,000 in walkaway money." I was like, "Man, ain't no way." I didn't tell him that, but I'm like, "Let's hop on the phone."
right. Yeah.
Right. And I actually have a call recording of this, which I should share. We've gone over it, I think, one time together. I get on the phone call with these people. We start talking about it. We start digging into their pain. He's living in Florida. She's still living here in the house. She wants to get there. I ask like how long that's been going on for, what's that doing to him emotionally, like if you could get there, like how that would feel, that kind of thing, and just really kind of future pacing out like what their ideal outcome is. Dude, by the time I ask how much they want to walk away with, they said honestly, like we don't really even need anything.
Wow.
So they go from wanting the agent telling me 40 is the least they'll take to that.
Yeah.
And I ended up giving them some money. They asked for nothing. I think I gave them like 2 or 3 grand. Just I don't know. Just I felt like it was the right thing to do to try to get
What
them.
about the agent in this one?
I paid the agent commission. So the
Okay.
agent got paid like 9 grand or something on it, I think. So he got
Okay.
paid pretty well. Um, and this one has like a 2.5% rate on it. So took it over, and now it's a rental. So we just have it rented out. But it's a pretty clean house. I mean,
Yeah.
um, we got some new flooring in there, painted it. I mean, it's just a rental. It's not like anything super nice, but
Yeah.
it gets the job done, and it's a good one to kind of write off, some stuff on your taxes and get some pay down and appreciation and all the standard stuff. And the thing with subject to deals like this that I would always think about the biggest mistake I've made with buying rentals that are subject to the, the sigh of mistakes is that I've bought stuff because it had a good rate, and then I kept it as a rental, not thinking about like the major stuff that was about to come up, like the roof, the HVAC, the deck, that kind of stuff. Dude, and your eyes
CapEx.
fixate on that good rate, and then
Yeah.
the rate doesn't save you from paying 10 grand the next year, you know? Oren, you sound like you've experienced this before, where you're laughing. Yeah, I know I have. So like on deals like that, from now on out, I'll probably like wrap most of those.
I was going to say, what would you do? What would you have done different? So you would have wrapped it. In an
Probably.
example, like you said,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly.
kind of like what we talked about. Like,
Because on the first deal that I just showed, it's like
uh,
that one, the HVAC was kind of coming towards the end of its life, and I told them that. I'm like, hey, this is gonna have to be replaced, and they're like, that's fine. They texted me the other day. They're like, hey, just wanted you to know we replaced the HVAC. So, that's kind of the nice thing about it. So you got to kind of pick and choose your battles, I guess, on when you're gonna keep a rental. At least for me. I'm not rich, so I need all the money I can keep. Yeah.
It kind of related to that. Do you have like examples or stories of maybe a deal that went sideways so we can kind of identify, landmines and things of that nature?
Yeah, I can. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop recording though for a second. And I'll give you the real sauce. All right. Stop recording. It's all good stuff. Yeah. All right.
Not for
Boom.
public consumption.
Not for public.